Who is in the best 23 for the Western Bulldogs this year? The Zero Hanger team have made their call, and we're going to break it down for you line by line in this video. But before we do that, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have plenty of footy content coming out for you this year. And for now, Western Bulldogs 23. Let's go. But before we get into it, don't forget that ZeroHanger.com is the #1 independent AFL news source for all your AFL news, trades, draft content, and now games. Check out our latest game, AFL Streakr. Test out your footy stats knowledge and see if you can get your name on the leaderboard. All right, and here to break down the best 23 for the Western Bulldogs, Chief AFL Editor at Zero Hanger, Mitch Keating. Hey, mate.
Good, mate. Keen to get into this one.
Yeah, Bevo always been an interesting one at selection table, I feel.
Yeah, well, some stuff might be out of his control to start this season, but we're looking at the best 23 for the whole season, not just what they'll look like round one, but we'll kind of discuss both halves.
Yeah, so we'll go through the injuries as we go through the team, but yeah, let's kick it off with the defenders. All right, so starting with the back line, Bailey Dale, Liam Jones, and Rory Lobb. And then the halfback, Lockie Bramble, James O'Donnell, and Taylor Duray. So we do have Liam Jones there, but he might not be there round one.
Yeah, well, as we're kind of discussing this, still waiting on scans on that hamstring injury. So fingers crossed all good, but it's going to be a big concern for them if they don't have him to start the year. Like he might be their most valuable player, just given the lack of depth they have in that key defensive group. Like Rory Lobb, we probably haven't seen enough of. He probably needs to do what he did in the second half of last year, this year again. James O'Donnell, I think he's been trialling a bit as a forward, so that they're moving the magnets as they do a little bit here and there. But if they don't have Liam Jones, it could be a bit of a problem. Could open the door for Jed Busslinger, which I can't wait for. But in saying that, they could be throwing first round pick into the deep end quite quickly if he's the one they're relying on. So it's going to be an area of interest for them depending on how Jones pulls up.
All right, so the midfield, starting with the main man in the ruck, Tim English, one of the best rucks in the competition, followed up by Marcus Bontempelli, Adam Treloar, and Tom Liberatore. And then on the wings, Ed Richards and Bailey Williams. So a bit of a different looking midfield, even though they don't have Macrae and Smith, but they weren't there last year. So
yeah, it's kind of same but different. Like they don't have those guys to fill in roles, but at the same time, the list you mentioned, they all were all playing last year and all did a pretty good job. Ed Richards, his, I guess, rise has really helped them with some of that off-season strategy and him being able to support Bont and Libba and Treloar, who had that All-Australian season. That's made things a lot easier for them. Obviously, they'll be without Treloar for the first couple of months, so expect that next wave to be pushing up, whether it's a Sanders or they get Matt Kennedy in. But yeah, they're still batting deep, even though they've lost a couple of pretty good players.
All right, so that forward line, starting with the half forwards, Caleb Poulter, Jamara Ugle-Hagan, Riley West, and then Cody Waitman, Aaron Norton, and Sam Darcy. So obviously questionable on whether Jamara is going to be there round one as well.
Yeah, that's all a bit up in the air and hard to really touch on in great detail. But what you can say is if they are without him, obviously a lot of reliance shifts to a player like Sam Darcy, who might have been their best forward last year anyway, but he's still young and developing and has had some injury issues. So hopefully a full season for him kind of helps alleviate any of those issues. On top of that, Aaron Norton, again, I think he's got another step to take and he certainly could do that this year. But yeah, without Jamara, they're still going to be okay. They've got plenty of decent assets as ground level threats as well. So at least they've already got two really good key forwards on hand, even if they are without Jamara for who knows when, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and despite the calls for everybody saying for Norton to go back to the halfback.
Don't mention it. Don't mention it.
And rounding out the best 23 with the bench, Riley Sanders, Joel Frazier, Matt Kennedy, Riley Garcia, and then Vandermeer as the sub. So these are five guys that if the Doggies want to be successful this year, they should be playing a large role.
Yeah, these are the guys that will be looking to step up, fill some holes, or even just continue their development and be a bit more senior figures. Like Riley Sanders is in his second year. But there's no reason he couldn't fill that gap for Treloar in the first couple of months of the year or even just really put pressure on some of those star midfielders. Same with Matt Kennedy. He'll be out to really hone a role after kind of falling out of favour a little bit at Carlton. Yeah. Riley Garcia turned down some offers elsewhere for probably bigger roles, so he's really gunning for a spot in midfield and the half forward. And Lathan Vandermeer can kind of shift around. Joel Frazier, nice run off halfback. That they found last year as well. So yeah, these are the some are kids, some are a bit senior, but they're the names that I think we want to see a bit more of and a bit more maturity of this year if the Dogs want to also just take that a little step or two further this season.
All right, so looking at that 23, that list, like I can see them being a top 4 team if everything goes right, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on Bevo early in the year, especially with their first few games in the fixture.
Yeah, like you said, everything has to go right. It's probably going to be the case this year. It doesn't help they've lost a few to injury, like Adam Treloar missing the first month or so in the season definitely doesn't help. The other two they've kind of lost is Anthony Scott and Jason Johannesson, who we don't have in the best 23, but always good to have depth players. Jamara, question marks, that's not going to help either. And look, they've got North Melbourne round 1. They need to be, notching up a win there. Need to be. And then after that, though, it only gets harder. Like I think they've got Brisbane and Carlton and Collingwood and Freo in the month afterwards. So they might not come out of that first 5 weeks with a winning record. And then that's when pressure's going to start mounting on Bevo, as it has most years when he's kind of hasn't been able to get that start. So 2025... no exception, given he's also off contract.
Yep, absolutely. But if there's one man that thrives or seems to thrive under pressure, it is Luke Beveridge. So thank you, Mitch, for breaking down our best 23 for Western Bulldogs. Let us know in the comments what you think of our best 23. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Who should be in there? Who shouldn't be in there? Let us have it in the comments. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have plenty of AFL content coming out this year. Catch all the latest AFL news from zerohanger.com and have a good one.